Hi, my beautiful first graders. Happy Tuesday. It's Miss Rudolph here. It's time for math. So you should have already done your math warm up and you should be ready to go. So what I need you to do is get your My Math book, your counter, something to write with, and some scrap paper. And I'll show you why once we get started. All right, friends. I hope you have everything that you need for today's math lesson. So before we get into our book, I want to go ahead and explain what we are doing. So before Christmas break, we were learning strategies on how to subtract. Now, if you remember correctly, strategies are different ways of doing something. And so we've been learning different ways to subtract, okay? So we're going to get back into our book today and we're going to learn another strategy. Today, we are going to continue answering our essential question, what strategies can I use to subtract? And then today, we are going to learn how to make 10 to help us subtract. Okay, so the first thing I need you to do is take one of your pieces of paper. And do you remember what these are called, friends? What are these called? A 10 frame, that's right. Because if you look, there's 10 spaces. So when this is all filled, we know that it's 10. We know if half of it's filled, it's 5. It's just an easy tool to use to help us know how much of something there is and helps us add and subtract. So if you look here, I drew two 10 frames. So what I want you to do is push pause and go ahead and make two 10 frames for me and then press play once you're ready to do that. All right, my friends, thank you for making your two 10 frames. So here's what we're going to do. My problem is there were 13 coconuts on the beach. 7 of the coconuts rolled into the ocean. How many coconuts do we have left? Well, I'm going to show you a really cool trick to do it. So what we want to do is we want to take this number, this subtraction number sentence, and we want to be able to make 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 7 because watch what I can do. What numbers equal 7? 3 and 4, right. If you have 3 plus 4, that equals 7, okay? So all I'm doing is breaking it apart. Now I want to take one of these numbers and see if I can't make this 10. Well, if I go 13 minus 3, that equals 10, right? And then now I need to go 10 minus 4, which equals 6. Very good. Okay, so that's all we're doing is breaking it apart. Now, you drew two 10 frames, okay? You did a great job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my 13 coconuts. Okay, so I got my two 10 frames, and I'm going to show you exactly what we just did. And as you can see, I have my 13 coconuts from my word problem. There's 10, 11, 12, 13. Get it? Got it good? Awesome. Okay, then it says subtracting 7 is a big number, so it's kind of hard to do that. So we want to break it apart so it's a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is take what I did here and show you how to do it on the 10 frame. So as you can see again, I took 7 and I broke it apart to make it 3 and 4 because 3 plus 4 equals 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away 3, which is what I did first. Okay, remember I took 13 minus 3 and that equals 10. Well, look, if I have my two 10 frames and I take away the 3 over here, what am I left with? 10, that's right. Very, very good. So now I'm left with 10, but I still have to subtract that other half of 7, that other part of 7, which was 4. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to X out 4 more coconuts. And how many am I left with? 6, that's right. And if you look here, what I did is I went ahead and I did the 13 minus 3 equals 10, and I was left with my 10, and then I took away the 4, and I'm left with 6. So as you can see, all we did was break it apart, and I used my 10 frame to help me. Okay, now this is kind of confusing, so do not worry. If you are having trouble with this, we're just going to practice and do the best we can, okay? All right, my friends, so now what I want to do is I would like you to turn to page 308. Please turn to 308 in your book, and we are going to do the guided practice. And it's going to be the same thing. I just wanted to show you how you can break it apart and what that looks like on the 10 frame. So that's why I had you draw 2 10 frames. Now what I would like you to do is if you have some more paper, I have 2 blank 10 frames ready to go. Now, you could use one and just put your counters on it and then take them away, or you can do something like cereal, put them on and take them away instead of drawing them and Xing them, whatever's easiest. But for my purposes, I'm going to go ahead so I can hold it up. I'm going to draw. All right, friends, so let's do this guided practice together. It says to subtract, first take apart a number to make a 10, then subtract, okay? Helpful hint, think 16 minus 6 equals 10. So we need to break apart 9, and when we break apart 9, that's going to leave us with 6 and 3. So now let me show you what this looks like, okay? Because we know that 16 minus 6 is 10. So we had to break apart this number to help us with that, okay? So we're going to go 16 minus 6 is 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this on my 10 frame, and I hope you're doing the same thing. So I'm going to draw 16. And again, you can do this with your counters. If you have some cereal at home, you can put cereal on it and then take it away. But I hope this makes sense for you. So as you can see here, I have my 16, right? You see that? My 10 plus 6 equals 16. Now, because I want to subtract 9, 9 is a hard number to subtract. It's bigger. It's not something that I can do really quickly. So I want to break apart that 9. And so we broke it apart to say 6 and 3 because 6 and 3, when I put them together, equals 9. Well, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 16 and I am going to take away 6. Okay? So on my 10 frame, I took away 6. What am I left with, friends? Shout it out. 10. Very good. Now I need to do the next part, which is subtract the other part of 9. We've already done 6. Now we have to do 3. So now I'm going to take away 3 from my 10 that was left over. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trace this because that's what I'm doing. And what are we left with, friends? Shout it out. 7. That's right. Very, very good. So 16 minus 6 equals 10, and 10 minus 3 equals 7. Okay? So when you go back up, 16 minus 9 equals 7. Okay? Now, again, I know this is a little confusing, so don't worry if you're having a hard time getting it. We're just going to try our best and practice, and we'll go from there, okay? So now we're going to go in and do number 1 and number 2. It says use a 10 frame or a base 10 block, okay, and your single blocks, and then you'll take apart the number to make 10, okay? So you can do this with your counters and put them together and kind of make a 10, and then whatever's left over you can put next to it, okay, if it's not quite 10 yet. I'm going to go ahead and just use my other blank 10 frame that I've got right here. So we have 12 minus 7, okay? 12 minus 7. This is such a hard thing to do, so we want to break apart 7. Now, if you remember, we can do, how are we going to make 10? Well, I would like to say, okay, let's look at 7, and what can we do? Well, we can do 2 and 5, right? Because 2 and 5, when I put them together, equals 7. And when I go 12 minus 2, that equals 10. Okay? So I'm going to do my 12, 10, 11, 12. Okay, do you guys understand that? I got my 12 here, okay? And now I'm going to take away my 2 because I broke that 7 apart. And what am I left with? I'm left with 10. Okay, so now I have to take 10 minus that other part that I broke apart from 7, which is what? 5. Very good. And we all know what is 10 minus 5. You guys should know that. 5. Very good. So 12 minus 7 equals 5. Very, very good. Give yourself a big squeeze. So as you can see, it's very important that you practice your math facts because when you're trying to break apart a number, you need to know the different ways to make that number. So I knew 2 and 5 make 7. 12 minus 2 equals a 10, and that's what I was trying to do. And if you look at my 10 frame, when I took the 5 off the 10, I was left with 5. All right, now we're going to try this next one, okay? Now, we need to break apart the 6, okay? Because that's what it's kind of telling us to do. Now, what two numbers equal 6 that when I take one of these numbers and subtract it from 15, I get 10? 5 and 1. Very good, because when I have 5 and 1 and I put it together, I get 6. That's where that comes from. And then when I take 15 minus 5, that equals 10. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to just go ahead and tell you right now, if you have 15 minus 5, what does that equal? 10. Very good. Now we have to subtract that other part. What is 10 minus 1? 9. Very good. So 15 minus 6 equals 9. Good job, you guys. So explain how you can make a 10 to find 13 minus 7. Well, we already kind of did that at the beginning. We knew that 3 and 4 equals 7. I take 13 minus 3, which equals 10. That gives me my 10. And then I take 10 minus 4, which equals 6. Okay, so 13 minus 7 equals 6. Very good. All right, my friends. So now what you're going to do is you're going to do your independent practice. You need to do your independent practice on page 309 and 310, or 310, I'm sorry. And you just have, it looks like 4 problems to do there, just what we've been practicing, and then some word problems. So do those and meet me right back here to check your answers. All right, friends, welcome back. I hope that wasn't too hard for you. And again, I just want you to try your best, okay? So now what I want to do is we're going to check our answers. So what you should have done is broken apart 9. And so you should have figured out 9 and 2 is the best way to do that, okay? Because 17 minus 7 equals 10, right? And then you take the 10 down here and you minus the other part, which is 2, and that equals 8. So 17 minus 9 equals 8. That's what you should have gotten. And again, draw your own 10 frame, put your counters on there, whatever's easiest to do, okay? All right, my beautiful friends, let's look at number 4. Put your power pointer on number 4. And again, if you're having a hard time with this, use your counters, use your 10 frame, all that good stuff. So now what they want you to do is break apart 8 here to subtract from 12. Well, I know that I need 2 to make that 10. If I take 2 away from 12, I get 10. So that means I'm going to do 2 and 6 because again, when I put 2 and 6 together, I get 8. Very good. So now 12 minus 2 equals 10. And then I'm going to take 10 minus 6 equals 4. So 12 minus 8 equals 4. All right, my friends, let's do one more and then I'm going to pause the video and start back up again, okay? So let's look at 11 minus 5. Well, we need to break apart 5, so I know it's going to be 1 and 4 because 1 and 4 together make 5. 11 minus 1 equals 10, right? So then I bring my 10 down and I need to subtract it to that other part that I broke apart, which is 4. Okay? And you should get 10 minus 4 equals 6. So 11 minus 5 equals 6. All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and then I'll be right back.